Thanks for staying with us. All right, we're going to start with the nation. Governors lament dismissal of foreign direct investments. Ogun APC suspends Senator Daniel. NCAA invites Ibom Air Crew and Emerson. Edu Cardoso meet to strengthen fiscal monetary policies synergy. 4 more internet fraudsters arrested at Obasanjo Presidential Library convicted. Probe of 661 million naira. Court freezes ex-NNPCL boss Kiari's accounts. And all were Catholic Church attackers linked to foreign terror group. Okay. Which story?
Okay. So today is Wednesday when the NCA has invited all parties in the Kwamtu saga. Ms. Emerson, according to the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Mr. Michael Achimogu, he said that he has invited them. Now today they are going to be meeting with Ms. Emerson, Ms. Juliana Edward, who's the crew member in question, and other crew members of the Ibom Air. And they will be going into further investigation into the matter. Also, the NCA Director General, Captain Chris Najomo, has directed going forward, strictly, all phones must be switched off at critical stages of flight. Switch off, now then talk, they did not use the word flight mode so that we don't get confused. He directed all domestic airline operators to amend their operations manual to reflect the new directive and submit them for immediate approval. So that's the new status quo. But I want to see how the meeting between Ms. Emerson and what the outcome will be like, you know, because of the new emerging facts that came from this.
Okay. Okay.
I have 4 more internet fraudster suspects that were arrested at Obasanjo Library Complex have been convicted. So we remember the sting operation by EFCC at a hotel that was within the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library Complex in Abeokuta. So he said yesterday 4 more of the suspects were convicted. 93 suspects had initially been arrested, and then they said in 2 separate judgments, Olubodi Adefolarin Pamilarin, Adenuga Ezekiel Oluwaseyi, Yusuf Ramon, and Ganiu Ibrahim were yesterday sentenced for internet fraud. Pamilari Oluseyi pleaded guilty for posing as a female Emily Edens on Instagram. He was found to have retained $160 obtained through deceit. And on him were an iPhone 14 and 150,000 naira that, you know, were taken from him. So he was sentenced to 1 month imprisonment or an option of 500,000 naira fine. And he was also ordered to forfeit the iPhone to the federal government. The others, we have Oluwaseyi, who pleaded guilty to impersonating a woman on Gmail accounts and retaining $1,000 from fraud. He had 2 iPhone 15 Pro Max and iPhone 6S, a million naira bank draft and forensic investigation reports. He was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment or an option of 2 million naira fine with confiscation of his devices and bank draft, and so on and so forth. There was another person too, impersonating a female, using Gmail accounts, CinderLauren909 at gmail.com and Anthony Eagle 879 at gmail.com, and he would, you know, send messages to unsuspecting public. I don't know why I don't feel that the sentences seem quite mild for the crime. A month imprisonment or 500,000 naira.
What is existing in the book.
That has to be looked into.
Okay, so I have the story. The NGF, that's the Nigerian Governors Forum, had a meeting yesterday, and they had something called an Investopedia. It was a compendium of investment opportunities in all the 36 states. So the chairman of the NGF, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, that's the governor of Kwara State, was saying that despite the huge potential of investment in all the states, FDI into each state has been quite low. According to him, only about in the past decade, only $2 billion have entered any of the states, which is less than 0.5% of GDP. he was asking that the governors, they try to draw attention to untapped investment opportunities in the state. They urge potential investors to unlock them for the nation's prosperity. According to them, the subnational units are open, credible, and are ready to support investment prospecting beyond oil and gas. That's what they've been getting so far. They're saying that there's so much more opportunities in the states. However, they also mentioned that the African development direct investment has been steady. They have been steadily growing, and in the regions of South Africa, Morocco, Egypt, and Ghana, expanding to sectors, and they're asking that this should also be extended to Nigeria. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so I have the story of the monetary policies between the monetary policy synergy. They said the federal government has spoken of plans to strengthen fiscal and monetary policies to boost the economy. So there was a meeting between the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy, that's Mr. Wale Edun, and the Central Bank Governor, Dr. Olayemi Kodoso, and also the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue, that's FIRS, Dr. Zach Adeyeji. They said they had a meeting, and the meeting was about designing to sustaining microeconomic stability, boosting investor confidence, and unlocking private sector-led growth in the line with the federal government economic reform agenda. They said that that this came, there were backdrops of criticism that in the last administration there was little or no synergy between fiscal and monetary authorities, and that was the reason why they said they have to. And because of that, it led into them having policies that are inconsistent, that undermine the growth, stifled private sector participation, and heightened microeconomic challenges. So now they are saying that because of all this, Nigeria is witnessing a consistent decline in inflation, relative exchange rates, stability, and a need to attract more investment inflows. So they are saying that this meeting signals the current administration's determination to forge closer collaboration among key economic managers.
Okay, the Punch. Capital projects crumble as states cut spending. 2027 showdown. Wike fires shot as Amechi, Babashir, and trashes ADC. Court blocks ex-NNPCL boss's account amid EFCC probe. Ramfak faces backlash over pay rise for political office holders. Yoruba elders weighed in as Alaafin and Ooni feud escalates. Our church attackers have ties to Al-Shabaab, says DSS. And ex-NNPCL spokesman canvasses tax relief for media houses. Let's take one story for the break.
Let me carry quickly. So it's a turn by turn. It has reached the ex-NNPC Chief Executive Officer of the NNPCL, Mr. Mele Kyari's turn. So the EFCC went to court. They asked the court in a temporary application, which is known as an ex parte application, to freeze the proceeds of what they consider money laundering as well as some conspiracy. So they're investigating him for alleged conspiracy, abuse of office, and money laundering. And the proceeds of this money, according to the Punch, is domiciled with Jai's Bank to the tune of 661 million. So they have asked the court to forfeit this money temporarily, pending when the matter will be heard substantively, and the court has granted that order, and that's what they are investigating him for. I just want to see how it turns out, because we've not finished the one of his counterpart, the CBN governor. Okay,
let's go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us, we'll be right back. So continue with the Punch. There's a story of the Alaafin and Ooni, which has been trending for the past few days. Prominent Yoruba elders on Tuesday called for restraint and the intervention of cultural and political figures following the reopening of hostilities between the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Akeem Owoade, and the Ooni of Ife, Oba Enitan Ogunwusi. The fresh row began on Monday after the Alaafin had conferred the title of Okanlomo of Yorubaland on the businessman chief Dotun Sanusi, and the Ooni had bestowed the title on Sanusi during an event, networking platform at a hotel in Ibadan. However, in a statement signed by the media aide of the Alaafin, he declared that no traditional ruler other than himself has the authority to confer a title covering the entire Yoruba land. He issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the Ooni to revoke the title or face consequences. many thought that declaration was a bit crass and that he could have done it in a better way. And saying something like facing consequences is almost challenging another premium Oba. Now, but reacting, the Oni spokesman, Moses Alaafin, said the monarch had directed him to ignore the Alaafin's outbursts and leave the matter in courts of public opinion. We cannot dignify the undignifiable with an official response. We leave the matter to be handled in the public court of opinion. Monday's exchange was the latest in the series of public disagreements between the two foremost monarchs. Interestingly, they took us back to a clip that happened in May, where the First Lady had organized an event and showed the Alaafin the remaining seats, while the other monarch stood up to receive the Oni. Alaafin remained seated. So these little things have been going viral, and obviously they are also aggravating the strain between the two monarchs. I really hope that the Yoruba elders can come in and see what they can do to wade into this, because it's not the first time the Alaafin and Ooni of Ife are going at each other. It doesn't go further than this.
I have, yes, procurement delays, worsening insecurity, and rising cost of goods and services have emerged as major reasons several state governments failed to meet their capital expenditure targets in the first 6 months of 2025. So we have the budget implementation reports from states. The second quarter has revealed that capital spending across many states remained significantly below expectations despite ambitious budgetary provisions designed to accelerate infrastructure growth. We also have, last month, the president had urged state governors to prioritize Nigerians' welfare by investing more in their future, putting more money into rural electrification, cultural mechanization, poverty eradication, and improved infrastructure investment. And they say, but given the reports, it just shows that many state governments, what they're doing really is putting a bulk of their resources into, they said a few of them have channeled the bulk of their resources into infrastructure development projects, while many have leaned heavily on recurrent costs and such as salaries, allowance, and overheads. In fact, the best state right now that has recorded the highest capital to recurrent ratio is Enugu, because it put a lot of its resources towards capital expenditure. So, based on reports, it's just saying that state governments need to do more in investing more into capital expenditure instead of recurrent expenditure. It does not seem to be improving, even though they are getting more funds.
Okay, so I have the story about the ex-NNPCL asking for relief for media houses. They said the former chief corporate communications officer of the NNPCL, that is Femi Soneye, has reiterated calls for government support and tax relief for the Nigerian media. He made this call on Tuesday while receiving the Nigerian Union of Journalists. In the meeting, he highlighted the challenges confronting the industry and urged the government to provide relief in the form of tax incentives and waivers on import duties for newsprint, broadcast equipment, and digital infrastructure. He said that he's saying that the government can play a supportive role by granting tax incentives or relief on import duties for newsprint, broadcast equipment, and digital infrastructure. And he went ahead to say that the Nigerian media remains one of the most vibrant in Africa. So, since this tax reform started, everybody's just looking for ways of how they can be waiving, they can help waive so that they can key into the opportunity. So
Daily Sun. Blood flows in Katsina mosque really start today. Bandits massacred 13 worshippers.
That is so.
NLC falls to federal government's ban on workers' rights to politics. Stop selling your future, Obi tells Nigerians. NCAA reads Riot Act to plane passengers. Oshun NBA right AGF demands release of local government funds. And alleged fraud, court freezes bank accounts linked to ex-NNPCL GCEO. Okay, who has the major headline?
I do. So according to the Katsina state government, the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Dr. Nasir Muazu, he confirmed that yesterday, the early hours of yesterday, 13 worshippers in a mosque were massacred, and it was while they were in prayers that they were killed. He said the people of Ugwan, Mantu, decided that they wanted to lay ambush to these worshippers. So to them, it was like a retaliatory effort that happened. And the government announced immediately that security reinforcement and support measures will be following this. Yes, they're reacting to it. Sadly, these people have been confirmed dead, and,
That's so sad.
and they'll be buried.
Really sad indeed.
I have the NBA, Nigeria Bar Association, has called the federal government to immediately release statutory allocations due to local government councils in Osun State, describing the continued withholding of the funds as unconstitutional, illegal, and a dangerous affront to judicial pronouncement. The NBA said that there's no legal justification for the action, warning that it cannot but constitute clear impunity were it to be true that funds meant for the LGAs are currently being seized or withheld. According to the reports, they haven't received their allocation since February this year. And it has gotten to the point where they have to now present a letter.
So is there clarity now? Because there was the confusion. The court had reinstated the suspended LGAs, and Osun went ahead and held an election. So the new local government chairman had to go to court to clarify who is the substantive chairman. They reinstated one of the new elected.
So they said that the body, that's NBA, has recalled that a series of court judgments had already clarified the legal status of local government leadership in Osun State. It noted that while October 15, 2022 elections produced APC chairmen and councillors, subsequent judgments of the federal court Osogbo nullified their elections. Yes, that's the clarification.
Okay. So the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections, Mr. Peter Obi, admonished the electorate to stop selling their votes, describing it as one of the greatest threats to Nigeria's democracy. The former governor of Anambra on his X-handle said that vote buying is one of the greatest dangers confronting the nation's democracy. It is never an act of kindness, it is calculated investment in corruption. Those who are buying votes do so with only one intention: to gain access to public funds. By bribing voters today, they are purchasing a license to plunder tomorrow, and then they can go into office, and the money meant for schools, hospitals, roads, jobs is now diverted into private pockets. So he's admonishing young people not to sell their votes. I guess that's on the backdrop of the recent by-elections that happened in the few states. Moving on now to Vanguard. The U.S. report raises concerns over security and justice in Nigeria. NTA summons Ibom Air cabin crew Emerson for further investigation. Our Catholic Church attackers had links with foreign terror group, says DSS. Vision restored how Vanguard is challenging lives. Bandits killed 13 worshippers in Katsina mosque. Edun Cardoso strengthened fiscal monetary partnership. Okay, which story haven't we taken?
Quickly, massacre. The DSS, of course, are trying these 5 suspects from the massacre. The 5 who were originally
That's
arrested.
you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
5 who were originally arrested since 2022 are presently on trial. They applied for their bail, and their defense counsel, of course, is saying that they've been in court, they've been in custody since 2022 without proper release. So he is alleging human rights abuses. But the DSS is saying these 5 persons killed over 40 persons and injured 100 worshippers at the Catholic Church in Owo. Yet they also have a very high likelihood of being linked to the Al-Shabaab terrorist group, and that some of the co-conspirators who escaped that they're trying to find are presently trying to making frantic efforts to monitor the trial and intimidate witnesses out of trial, and so they're using that opportunity to trail them and hopefully arrest them, the other conspirators, and bring them to justice. But I think 2022 to 2025 is a long time enough. Justice delayed can be denied.
Yeah,
I think
which is similar to the next story I had concerning the United States. They raised concerns over security and justice delivery in the country, citing cases of enforced disappearances and arbitrary detentions. The presidency obviously has quickly responded, saying that the country's judicial system was not only addressing concerns about the lengthy pre-trial period, alongside other issues, the federal government is also stabilizing the naira and recalibrating the economic in general. But the Human Rights Bureau of Democracy Human Rights in the U.S. also identified lengthy pre-trial detention, which is what Nima just said, and delays as major challenges facing Nigeria's justice system.
Yeah.
The report also said that new minimum wage of 70,000 naira had been undermined by the continued depreciation of the naira, while quoting Amnesty International as saying the whereabouts of dozens of young men trained, the dozens of men detained by SARS, the former police station in Anambra State, remains unknown since the disbandment of SARS back in 2020. Quite a bit in that report. I mean, it was quite comprehensive. I didn't read the full thing, but it's quite instructive that there's so much to be done when it comes to justice in Nigeria. Unfortunately, that's all we can take on Front Gate Review. When we come back, bring in our special feature. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.